You want to send a meme. The FBI wants to read it. Only one of you wins. That's it. That's the whole video. But here's the thing. The way we solved that problem is one of the most insane intellectual journeys in human history. Wow. It involves ancient Roman emperors, World War II, prime numbers so big they break your brain, and a box with 2 locks that somehow let strangers share secrets without ever meeting. And by the end of this, you're going to understand how your bank protects your money, how your passwords stay secret, and why the math keeping the internet alive is genuinely, actually, no joke, impossible to crack. Trust me, once you see how deep this rabbit hole goes, you'll never look at your browser the same way again. If you want to make sure you never miss a deep dive into the hidden systems running our world, subscribe right now. We're starting from 0. Literally. Okay, so picture this. You're Julius Caesar. It's like 50 BC. You need to send a military message across enemy territory. You write it down, a messenger carries it, and if the enemy catches him, they read everything. Your whole battle plan. Gone. So what do? And you cheat. Caesar had this elegant little trick. Instead of writing the actual letters, he shifted every letter in the alphabet by 3 positions. So A becomes D, B becomes E, C becomes F. The word cat becomes FDW. Completely unreadable if you don't know the rule. But if you do know the rule, you just shift it back. 3 steps left. Cat. This is called a substitution cipher, and it was genuinely revolutionary for its time. But here's the problem. How many ways can you shift a 26-letter alphabet? 25. That's it. An attacker can just try all 25 options in like 2 minutes. Actually, in 50 BC, maybe 2 hours. But still, the key space, the number of possible keys, is tiny. And a tiny key space means a weak cipher. Always. This is the first principle of cryptography. A cipher is only as strong as the number of possible keys. So people got smarter. Instead of just shifting letters, what if you scrambled the entire alphabet randomly? N maps to Q, B maps to Z, C maps to X, no pattern, just chaos. Now the attacker has to try every possible scrambling of 26 letters. How many is that? It's 26 factorial. Wow. 4 times 10 to the power of 26. That's a number with 26 zeros. Even a modern computer brute forcing 1 billion options per second would take longer than the age of the universe. Sounds uncrackable, right? Wrong. So wrong. And this is where cryptography gets beautiful. Here's the thing. Human language is not random. In English, the letter E shows up about 13% of the time. The letter Z? Less than 0.1%. So even if you've scrambled the alphabet, the most common letter in your ciphertext is almost certainly E. The second most common is probably T. This is called frequency analysis, and a guy named Al-Kindi figured it out in 9th century Baghdad, over 1,000 years ago, and it completely destroyed every substitution cipher ever invented. Let that sink in. A 9th century scholar broke a cipher that a modern computer couldn't brute force. The lesson? And raw complexity isn't security. Smart complexity is security. This distinction will matter a lot in a few minutes. So cryptographers spent the next several centuries playing cat and mouse. You invent a better cipher, someone breaks it. You add more layers, someone finds a new weakness. Then World War II happened, and the stakes became life and death, and suddenly governments were pouring resources into this like never before. Enter the Enigma machine. Nazi Germany used it to encrypt all their military communications. It was an electromechanical device with rotors spinning wheels that scrambled letters through multiple substitution layers simultaneously. And the key, the daily setting of those rotors, had something like 158 quintillion possible configurations. Wow. That's 158, followed by 18 zeros. Alan Turing looked at that number and said, essentially, I don't care about the number, I care about the structure. Turing's insight, and this is genuinely one of the greatest intellectual achievements of the 20th century, was that he didn't need to try every possible key. He needed to find patterns in the encrypted messages themselves. German operators were lazy. They used predictable phrases. Weather reports always started the same way. That gave Turing a crib, a known piece of plain text, and from that tiny foothold, he could eliminate billions of wrong configurations at once. The Enigma was broken not by brute force. It was broken by finding the cracks in human behavior. Cryptography is always, at some level, a human problem. By the mid-20th century, we had strong symmetric ciphers, meaning both the sender and receiver used the same key. The US government eventually standardized one called DES, and later AES, which is still used today. AES, with a 256-bit key, has more possible keys than there are atoms in the observable universe. We're not breaking that. But symmetric encryption has one massive, catastrophic flaw. And it's not mathematical. It's logical. How do you share the key? And if Alice wants to send Bob a secret message using a shared key, she has to get that key to Bob first. But if she sends the key over the internet, someone could intercept it. She could meet Bob in person, but Alice and Bob's bank server have never met. They've never been in the same room. The bank server talks to millions of strangers every day. How do you share a secret with someone you've never met? N. For most of human history, the answer was, you can't. That was just considered a fundamental, unsolvable problem. Like trying to whisper in a room full of people listening. And then, in 1976, two mathematicians named Whitfield Diffie and Martin Hellman said, actually, hold on. Okay, so here's the thing that broke every cryptographer's brain in 1976. Diffie and Hellman didn't find a way to share a secret privately. They did something weirder. They found a way to create a shared secret in public, in front of everyone, where nobody watching could figure out what it was. This sounds impossible. It is not impossible. But it requires a specific kind of mathematical weirdness. And to understand it, you need to think about color mixing. Imagine Alice and Bob both start with the same public color. Let's say yellow. Everyone knows the starting color. The attacker knows it too. Now Alice picks a secret color, let's say orange, and Bob picks a secret color, let's say blue, and they never tell anyone. Alice mixes her secret orange into the yellow and sends the result to Bob. Bob mixes his secret blue into the yellow and sends that result to Alice. Now, here's the magic. Alice takes what Bob sent her and mixes in her own secret orange. Bob takes what Alice sent him and mixes in his own secret blue. They both end up with the exact same color. A shared secret created in public. The attacker saw the yellow. They saw what Alice sent. They saw what Bob sent. But they cannot unmix paint. That's the whole trick. In real cryptography, instead of colors, they use modular arithmetic and something called discrete logarithms. The math is different, but the structure is identical, a one-way operation that's easy to do and almost impossible to reverse. This concept is called a trapdoor function. Easy to fall through, nearly impossible to climb back up. Now, here's where things get actually insane. A few years later, three MIT mathematicians, Rivest, Shamir, and Adleman, which you know as RSA, took the Diffie-Hellman idea and extended it into something called public key cryptography. And this, right here, is the thing that makes the entire internet possible. The idea is this. What if instead of a shared secret key, every person had two keys? A public key and a private key. The public key is literally public. You post it on your website. You put it in your email signature. The whole world can see it. The private key never leaves your computer. Ever. Here's the magic rule. Anything encrypted with the public key can only be decrypted with the private key. So if you want to send me a secret message, you grab my public key, which is just out there, anyone can get it, and you encrypt your message with it. Now, the only person in the world who can decrypt that message is me, because only I have the private key. You didn't need to share a secret with me first. You didn't need to meet me. You just used the lock I left outside my door. Think of it like a mailbox. Anyone can drop a letter in the slot. Only the person with the key to the box can take it out. The slot is public. The key is private. Now, here's the beautiful part. How does RSA actually work mathematically? It's built on prime numbers. Specifically, it uses the fact that multiplying two huge prime numbers together is easy, and factoring the result back into those two primes is brutally hard. Like, would take every computer on Earth longer than the universe has existed hard. Pick two primes. Call them P and Q. Multiply them together. You get N. Publishing N is safe because nobody can figure out P and Q from N alone, not in any reasonable time frame. Your public key is derived from N. Your private key is derived from P and Q directly. As long as nobody factors N, your private key is safe. And nobody can factor N because the numbers we use are enormous. We're talking primes that are hundreds of digits long. This is the awe moment. Stop for a second. The security of your bank account, your messages, your email, your entire digital life, it rests on a single mathematical fact, that multiplying is easy and factoring is hard. That's it. Two operations on a number line that a 10-year-old understands. The asymmetry between those two operations is the foundation of modern civilization's information security. There is no vault. There is no unbreakable material. There is just a multiplication problem nobody can undo. That's not a metaphor. That's literally true. Right now. Okay, now we need to talk about passwords. Because RSA solves how to send secrets, but it doesn't solve how a website stores your password without someone stealing it. Here's the problem. A website needs to check your password when you log in. But if they store your actual password in a database and that database gets hacked, which happens constantly, every single user's password is exposed. So they can't store your password. But they need to check it. How? Hash functions. This is where SHA-256 comes in. A hash function takes any input, a word, a sentence, an entire book, and turns it into a fixed length string of characters. SHA-256 always outputs exactly 256 bits, no matter what you put in. And here's what makes it cryptographically useful. It's another trapdoor. Going in is easy. Coming back out is impossible. Type in your password. SHA-256 spits out a completely scrambled 64-character hex string. The website stores that string, called a hash, not your password. When you log in again, they hash what you type and compare the two hashes. If they match, you're in. They never see your actual password. They don't need to. They just compare fingerprints. And here's why it's secure. Even the tiniest change to the input produces a completely different output. Change one letter in a 10,000-word document and the hash is totally unrecognizable. There's no way to look at a SHA-256 hash and reverse engineer what produced it. You'd have to try every possible input until you find one that matches, which is again, computationally catastrophic. But wait. If hashing is a one-way function, what stops an attacker from just hashing every common password in advance? Password 123, I love you, Query, building a giant lookup table, and checking your stolen hash against it. N? That's called a rainbow table attack, and for a long time, it worked. The fix is elegant. Before hashing your password, the website adds a random string of characters to it. This is called a salt. Your password is never just hashed, it's always hashed plus a unique random salt. Now, even if two users have the exact same password, their hashes are different. And that pre-computed rainbow table is useless because no one computed hashes with your specific salt. Password. Salt. Hash. Store. Login. Same password. Same salt. New hash. Compare. Secure. Simple. Brilliant. So let's zoom out for a second. Because here's what's actually happening when you open your browser and go to your bank's website. Your browser says hello to the server. The server sends back its public key, actually wrapped in something called a certificate, which proves the key really belongs to that server and not an impersonator, and your browser uses that public key to establish a shared secret, exactly like Diffie-Hellman painted the colors together. That shared secret becomes the symmetric key for your entire session. From that point on, every single byte going between you and the server is encrypted with AES 256. Nobody watching the traffic can read a thing. This whole handshake, the certificates, the key exchange, the symmetric encryption, is called TLS. Transport Layer Security. That little padlock in your browser? That's TLS working. And it happens in milliseconds, automatically, every single time. You never think about it. But under the hood, your laptop and some server in Virginia just did centuries worth of mathematical breakthroughs in the time it took you to blink. That's kind of wild. Now here's a wrinkle that should bother you. What if someone intercepts your connection before it's encrypted? What if someone pretends to be your bank's server and hands you a fake public key? And you encrypt your data to the attacker's key, thinking it's the bank. The attacker decrypts it, reads it, re-encrypts it with the real bank's key, and forwards it. You never know. This is called a man-in-the-middle attack. So how do we stop it? We need a way to prove that a public key actually belongs to who it says it does. You can't just trust a key. Anyone can generate a key. You need a trusted third party to vouch for it. Enter certificate authorities. These are organizations like DigiCert Let's Crypt a handful of others whose public keys are baked directly into your operating system and browser. When a website wants a certificate, it proves its identity to one of these CAs, and the CA digitally signs the website's public key. Your browser checks that signature against the CA's key, which it already trusts. Chain of trust. If the signature checks out, the key is legit. And here's how that signature works. It's RSA running in reverse. Instead of encrypting with someone's public key so only they can read it, you encrypt a hash of your data with your own private key. Anyone with your public key can decrypt it and check the hash. If the hash matches the data, it proves you wrote it, because only you have the private key. This is called a digital signature, and it's the same math as encryption, just flipped around. One key pair. Two uses: confidentiality and authentication. That's elegant in a way that makes mathematicians genuinely emotional. Okay, but here's the thing that's been hiding in the background this whole video. All of this, RSA, Diffie-Hellman, every public key system we have, rests on the hardness of certain math problems. Factoring large numbers, discrete logarithms, problems that classical computers can't solve efficiently. Quantum computers might change that. Shor's algorithm, developed in 1994, is a quantum algorithm that can factor large numbers exponentially faster than any classical algorithm. If someone builds a sufficiently powerful quantum computer, they could crack RSA. They could break Diffie-Hellman. The math that protects your bank account, your messages, your identity, gone. We're not there yet. Today's quantum computers are noisy, fragile, and nowhere near powerful enough. But the cryptography community is not waiting to find out. NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, just standardized the first post-quantum cryptographic algorithms in 2024. These are systems built on different hard problems. Lattice-based math, hash-based signatures, stuff that's believed to be hard even for quantum computers. The migration has already started. This is the thing that blows your mind if you sit with it. We are, right now, proactively replacing the mathematical foundations of internet security before the threat that would break them even exists yet. Not because it's broken, because we're doing the math and seeing what's coming. That's never happened before in the history of cryptography. We've always been reactive. Someone broke the cipher, then we fixed it. This time, we're fixing it first. Caesar shifted letters by 3. Turing found cracks in human habits. Diffie and Hellman proved you can share a secret in public. Rivest, Shamir, and Adleman made multiplication asymmetric and built a lock anyone could use, but only one person could open. And now we're preparing for a computer that doesn't exist yet. Every layer built on the previous one. Every breakthrough happened because someone asked a question nobody thought was answerable. We started this video trying to send a meme without the FBI reading it. We ended up at the foundations of mathematics, the future of quantum computing, and a system that protects trillions of dollars and billions of people every single second of every single day. All because Julius Caesar didn't want his battle plans intercepted. And here's the question that cryptographers and mathematicians have not answered. The question that keeps the smartest people in the world up at night. Is factoring large numbers actually hard? And we believe it is. We've never found a fast classical algorithm, but we've also never proven one doesn't exist. The entire security of the internet rests not on a proven mathematical truth, but on a conjecture. An educated, centuries-supported, widely believed conjecture. Nobody has proven that P does not equal NP. Nobody has proven that factoring cannot be done efficiently. We just think it can't. We built civilization's digital foundation on something we believe but cannot prove. Sleep tight. But before you do, think about this. If you discovered a mathematical loophole tomorrow that could bypass all modern encryption, would you share it with the world to prove it's broken, or keep it a secret to prevent total economic collapse? And let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one.